What is up, crackers, slackers, and sample packers? Thanks for sitting down at the messy desk with me this week, a man of many shirts who wears only a few. Today, I want to talk to you about a sample pack. As none of you remember, I'm sure, I have been working on a granular sample pack for a while. Now, I had originally planned for this sample pack to be a lot more large and grandiose and be this really, cohesive, proper, perfect thing that I would push out into the world and it would change the lives of millions. But as it turns out, it's a lot of hard work making a sample pack. So God bless the people that can do it regularly. Turns out I am not one of them. But I did make some samples, and I think they're pretty fun. And so what I decided to do, rather than sell them, because no numeric value seems right to me, I'm just going to give them away to my patrons like I do with all my other little sample packs. So if you're a patron, you can grab them right away. If you're not a patron, you can go give me $3 and then run away with the samples forever, and you never have to give me another dime. And you get all my other sample packs as well. So patreon.com/messydeskinc to give me money. Thank you. I don't want to waste too much time because what I did today was actually pretty fun. I just took some of my favorite samples from the sample pack and flipped them. I chose 3, and we'll just go over the beats one by one as we do, talking about all the fun stuff going on in them. Hopefully you'll learn a thing or two. And if not, well, at least you've staved off that crushing feeling of loneliness that silence brings. Or is that just me? Let's just get right into it. The first beat I did uses a piano granular sample, which is my favorite thing to put in a granulizer. Always sounds so fantastic. And it sounds like this. I really love that. I think it's my favorite sample of the bunch, and it might have actually been the first one that I made, which is kind of ironic. But what I did is what any good lazy boy does, and I used a slice grid to slice it up into a bunch of tiny pieces. Then I went ahead and I played those slices. Something that I wanted to do right away, though, is not just use it once, because it's such a layered and textured sample. Just having kind of individual chops on one track didn't feel like enough to me. So I actually use it again here, and then one more time here. And so I'm just going to play all the slices together for the sake of saving time. And they sound like this. So this is one of my favorite techniques of taking a sample at its normal pitch, taking the sample again an octave up, and taking it again a fifth up. If I wanted to get extra comprehensive, I could maybe take it a fifth down as well, but we're already getting into muddy territory here. I didn't want to do too much. That's also a bad habit I have, is doing too much. So yeah, it's pretty simple. Some of them are reversed, some of them are not. I do some fancy stuff with trig stacking at the end of this track here, where I have this one happening every first time, and this one happening every second time, micro-timed all the way back. It's called trig stacking. Basically allows for 2 triggers to be in the same place. Check out my trig stacking video here. Really fun, really useful stuff. Other stuff, really simple, nothing really fancy going on at all. Anchored it with that fun halftime rim. And if you know me, you know where we're heading. Put on your Star Wars shirts, you fucking nerds, because it's a trap! Yeah, really fun. Super simple shit, but it brought me joy in my heart. Oh, one last thing I did, I took an Igloo Ghost sample. I shortened it a lot and made a little melody. Very cool and great, and surely will land me in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Moving right along to beat numero dos. This one, I took a sample I actually don't love a ton at its normal pitch, but I had a feeling that if I pitched it down, it would actually sound pretty good. And as is always the case, I was right. I'm always right. You heard it here first. Go ahead and jot that down in your little notebooks. I know you're really following along as furiously as you can. I got a stain on my shirt, I'm only realizing now. We're just going to call it relatable content and move on. Let's listen to what it sounds like, a bare bones.
「
Well, that was the first slice, but you get the idea. It goes through some different pitches, and it's just okay. But pitch down 7 semitones, and it actually starts sounding like music. I knew right away with this one that I wanted to do a drum and bass thing. So I sliced that sample up, and I knew that it would be really easy to just kind of play the slices in as you expect. But rather than do that before I made a beat, I went ahead and made a really simple drum and bass beat, which sounds like this. So that's a snare, a little bit of reverse snare in there, hi-hat with the hold time being modulated. Really common thing I do, just kind of throwing this beat together. This is worth noting, if these beats seem kind of really half-formed, it's because this is actually my second time filming this video. I filmed a beat from scratch video where you could have seen the whole process of this, but then simultaneously my Octatrack decided to shit the bed and Ableton crashed while I was recording, so wasn't the best situation. I got a little upset, but I took a break, I took some deep breaths, I went ahead and sat myself down, didn't I? And now we're here and we're doing a new video and it's all positive content, so put a smile on your face, stick with me, and let's talk more about these beats that I made. I made that beat very quickly because I wanted to just get to layering the slices on top of it, and I think it sounds quite nice when I did. Last thing I did was add some bass, which is an old MS-10 sample, and it sounds like this. I think it sounds really nice pitched down. I love that. I love the kind of way that you can feel the grains stretched and pulled that way. A really simple trick I did here to kind of extend the sequence a little bit is I halved the speed at which the sequencer plays. So rather than 64 steps, it's like we get 128. It's really great and really useful if you're not doing anything that needs 16th note resolution, which this certainly did not. So highly recommend doing that if you haven't before. Just make sure you set your master to 128 so it actually has time to follow through with all those steps, because if you just set it to 64, it's going to keep resetting after 2 bars. You're going to be very confused, very angry. You're going to type angrily into Google, Octatrick no work, which I'm sure no one can relate to. And then you'll see in Electronauts forum, like, you got to set the thing to do the thing. And now I've told you, so you know to do it, and you can save yourself the embarrassment, which I have experienced numerous times. Okay, so I think that's all I want to cover with that. Nothing super interesting else going on there, I don't think. The third beat, I think, is my favorite because I actually used some samples from a separate sample pack that I've made before, full of resampling kind of weirdness. Again, if you're my patron, you can grab that sample pack as well as this one. And it's full of really interesting sounds, like this. I love that. And this little kick here. I love that. This guy loves his own samples, I guess. You know, love yourself and all that. And then so it uses this sample here. Let me go ahead and play the whole thing for you. Super duper freaking cool, man. I guess maybe it's worth noting that I didn't use any one source for these samples. I made them all in Ableton using a variety of VSTs and plugins. The most common were Slate & Nash Cycles, which I will do a video on at some point. No one's going to watch it because no one gives a shit about my Ableton content, but it's so good. It's the best granulizer that is out there, bar none, and people need to know about it. So I'm going to make a video on that someday. Outputs Portal, which is just okay. Really cool interface, really inspiring interface, so I worked in that a lot. Ableton's Granulator, and then Reason's Granulator finally gave me the reason to pull up Reason Rack and get digging in that. And so this one, I can't remember which one I used. I think it was probably Portal, just given the sound of it. And yeah, so again, another one of those ones where at its normal pitch, I don't really love it, but pitched down, it sounds quite nice. And I don't want to play the beat in disparate parts because I feel like separated, it doesn't quite convey what the whole does, because it's a very kind of off-kilter sort of beat, for me anyway, as someone that's like really to a fault afraid of doing stuff that is not like perfectly on the grid and perfectly right. That's a shortcoming I have as a musician. I always want things to be sound good and be perfect, and I kind of ignore a lot of I probably cheat myself out of a lot of really interesting spots by not allowing myself to kind of push through ugliness in that way. I wonder if that says something about me as a person. Let's not examine it. So let's just listen to the beat as a whole. I played it in the performance at the beginning, but it's my favorite, so we're going to listen to it again. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it except skip to this time code. Let's do it. I'm sorry, that 808 just hits so hard in the best spot possible. Yeah, it's not really in tempo at all. This is a timed loop. That 120 BPM is there for a reason, because those little repeats and glitches are tempo synced. But because I took it out of that and I pitched it down to, I think, -3. Let me see here. I never fucking remember. Here's something I don't know that the YouTube comments can explain to me, which is really nice. Why does the octatrack sometimes change to little circles, but sometimes they're numbers? It just happens randomly sometimes, and I don't understand why. So someone comment down below and let me know, because I'd love to know how to just keep it one way if that's possible, because when it changes into little circles, I don't like it as much because I can't see right away what's going on. But yeah, we can see here if I hold this button down, it's at -3 semitones. So how does that affect the tempo? I don't really know. And so we get into a little kind of, J Dilla glitchy territory. And it's certainly not a J Dilla beat, but it kind of just, it engenders this really kind of off-kilter, especially with that kick and snare, which neither of which are like perfect transients. So they kind of just stutter and step you forward in this kind of weird motion. I don't know. It's very compelling to me. I hope you like it too. But that's really it. I reversed the sample here to get some sounds like this. So I'm just kind of MPC style playing these slices along with the main sample. And it leads into the 808 really nicely. I was a little too lazy. I should have made these only happen the second time, because every time it's a little annoying. We've gone over this plenty of times. But overall, I really enjoyed making it, and I like it, and it might be something that I take into Ableton and maybe do more with. So yeah, I think that's going to do it for me this week. I am stoked to hear what you guys think about this sample pack. I'm pretty proud of what is there. It just, I don't think I've never really released a big sample pack before, and just dropping a big one into the void felt a little scary to me, and so I thought I would just stick with my little tiny packs for now. And if you really like it and you want more, maybe I'll make a volume 2. I don't know. There's actually more samples. There's a lot more samples than what I've shown here today. It's not just these 3 samples. There's, I don't know, probably 10 or 11 more, maybe a little bit more than that. I can't really remember, but they're all granular. They all have some really interesting sonic qualities to them. So I'd love it if you took them, put them in your sampler, make some cool music, show me them, comment down below, and show me the music you make with these. Maybe I'll pick the best one and give them a shout out in a video or something. I don't know, totally informal thing. But I'd love for you to do it. It'd make me feel happy, and I'd like to see these samples somewhere. At the end of the day, I think it's a pretty fun sample pack. It's nothing super impressive. It's not a blank form sample pack or anything like that. But then again, at the end of the day, I'm not super impressive. I'm just a guy who bathes in his own mediocrity. And let me tell you, friends, if you haven't embraced your own mediocrity, I can't recommend it enough. Because once you do, there's nowhere to go but pleasant surprises, my friend. You either perform at a level which is consistent with how you feel about yourself, or you perform slightly above that level, and because you're so mediocre, you take that and you ride it to the sun. Look at me, I stepped above my mediocrity just a little bit. That's enough for this year, I think. So, anyway, I want to thank you for watching one more time. You could have sat down with anybody on the internet today, but for some reason you chose to sit with me, a greasy man wearing the same shirt 3 days in a row, clad in stains, devoid of dignity, embracing his own mediocrity. And I think that is pretty special. I'll be back next week with another video, of course. I think Octomom and I might do something. Not really sure. But we've enjoyed making those, and people seem to enjoy watching them. So hopefully we can dig into that and have some nice conversation, and you guys can look at a pretty woman instead of whatever the hell this is. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. I'm Daniel. This is The Messy Desk, and I love you more than I love sampling my own work, even though there was never any risk of me profiting from it anyway. I'll see you next week. Peace.